The horrific bridge collapse in Baltimore may make you wonder, what does water and maritime safety look like in events like this? How can they be prevented? So here to give us some insight on this issue is the Executive Director of Marine Education Support and Safety Operations at Texas A&M Galveston, Captain Alan Post. Captain Post, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so when discussing maritime safety, what are some of the top priorities for a cargo ship when it sets sail?
Before a ship sets sail, it's required to test all of the systems on board to make sure that they are in proper working order. Here in the United States and in most ports around the world, you're required to have a local pilot on board to help guide the ship out of harbor, as well as having tugs to help you as well. Normally, the crew takes preparations such as getting the anchors ready to drop, hooking the tugboats up, and discussing the maneuver that they're about to accomplish.
So the cargo ship in Baltimore, we know, we've seen it. It lost power, which eventually caused it to hit the bridge. For those of us who are exactly not up to snuff on ship knowledge, why is it that you can't just steer something like that when you lose power?
So the rudders on these ships are huge and use electric motors to drive hydraulic pumps in order to turn them. And once you lose that master electrical power, you no longer have the ability to move the rudder. So when that does happen, whatever angle the rudder is set at is where it will stay until you can restore that electricity to it.
You mentioned that the use of tugs. We know that there wasn't a tug being used on this ship. Probably not enough time or leeway when the ship declared a mayday to get a tug to scramble out there to try and help it. But how uncommon, I guess, is it that a ship would encounter a bridge such as the one there in Maryland without having a tug or help getting into a harbor?
So tugs did help it get off the dock and turn around, and then they were released when the ship started navigating under her own power. That is fairly standard practice in many areas around the country and around the world.
You have a background in construction projects, including shoreline stabilization and marina construction. So does marina construction kind of help lend itself to bridge construction? Do the two ever work together?
There's a lot of similarities when building piers and building bridges, especially down here in Texas. The current pier that we have here for our training ship, the TS Kennedy, is a bridge style pier out over water. And there is a lot of fendering on the face of that pier in order to accommodate the large loads that a ship would place on it.
Now, we know in 2001, the Queen Isabella Causeway in Texas had a similar tragedy. It was a tugboat and a barge that struck the bridge. It killed 8 people in that tragedy. But that collapse was only a small portion of the bridge. So structural makeup of a bridge, is that what helps or hurts during incidents and accidents like this?
Absolutely. Two very different types of structures. The structure down in at the Queen Isabella Causeway were bent piles with beams across from pile to pile. The structure of the Francis Scott Key Bridge is a cantilever truss system, and once you knock out one piece of the cantilever truss system, its integrity is degraded to the point where most likely the rest of the pieces will fall as well.
So we learned, obviously, from that tragedy. Well, we'll obviously learn from this tragedy as well in Baltimore. But what needs to be learned from a tragedy like this?
Well, I think the NTSB is going to ask those hard questions during their interviews, during their investigation, and in the follow-up recommendations that the board makes. And I think we might see some additional mitigation measures proposed and perhaps enacted into law.
Captain Alan Post, the Executive Director of Marine Education Support and Safety Operations at Texas A&M Galveston, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.